What Were They Thinking is brought to you by HostGator. HostGator is a leading provider of shared, reseller, VPS, and dedicated hosting solutions. Award-winning support is available 24/7, 365 days a year via phone, email, and live chat. Discover why over 9 million websites trust HostGator. Use the coupon code SCHLUCK for 25% off your first purchase. That's SCHLUCK, SCHLOCK, for 25% off your first purchase.
What Were They Thinking is brought to you today by GameItAll.com. Whether it's video game news, the latest in music, or movie reviews, GameItAll.com is your one-stop shop for all nerdy talk. I have a question.
What's that, little hoaxer?
Hulk Hogan?
That's right, brother.
I mean, someone who sounds like Hulk Hogan, but copyright-wise is not technically Hulk Hogan.
That's right. Sure. Why not? Don't internet search me.
Okay, my mom doesn't let me use Google anymore anyway.
That's probably for the best, little hoaxer.
Wait a second. Maybe you can help me.
I'll do what I can.
I'm looking for all the wrestling news, rumors, and all the results, and I can't find them anywhere.
Well, let me tell you something, little hoaxer. If you need your fix for internet wrestling rumors and results and all the inside information, you're going to need to go to WrestlingNewsWorld.com. If you're not there, you're not anywhere, brother.
Wow, thanks, kind of Hulk Hogan.
Sure thing, little hoaxer. Remember, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, and go to school and all that other stuff, because I'm not really Hulk Hogan, so I don't know what he'd want to say.
WrestlingNewsWorld.com. Hey, Nathan.
Hello, Brendan.
So, got our next movie coming up, eh?
Oh, yes, our next in our summer blockbuster or lackluster flopbuster season.
Yep, we're doing Pearl Harbor.
That didn't come out in the summer.
It's a summer blockbuster.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It was released on May 25th. That's in the spring.
Summer blockbuster.
No. Again, no. Okay, that movie came out in the spring. I'm not watching a 3-hour movie for our summer flopbuster series that came out in the spring. That is a spring movie.
Hollywood says it's a summer blockbuster.
Hollywood's wrong. Okay? I'm looking at the Wikipedia entry right now for the summer solstice. And summer solstice begins either on June 20th or 21st. Not in May. May is still spring.
Summer?
No! No!
But at
no!
Nathan? That was a recreation of a conversation that took place earlier this week.
Because this is not a summer movie.
I will settle this debate once and for all. I agree with you that it did not come out during the summer. I will give you that.
So it's not a summer movie. We can talk about another movie?
No, I will give you that 100%. However, for Hollywood, as wrong as they may be,
all the time, just about every time.
Summer blockbuster season is usually from the end of May till about mid-August. That's just when they really...
All right, so you know what? Hollywood executives clearly know nothing at all, because if I could teach them how seasons work, because the summer solstice, aka summer, begins either June 20th or June 21st, and it ends September 22nd or 23rd. That is how it works. Autumn begins on that date. That means summer goes from June until September, not May until August. That is just asinine.
So welcome to another episode of What Were They Thinking? I'm Brendan.
So frustrated. I am Nathan.
And we have a very special guest with us here today. Returning guest from our WrestleMania 11 episode, live in studio, Jason MacLeod.
Hi, guys!
We could have watched Suicide Squad.
That wasn't that. See, the thing about Suicide Squad was that I thought it was actually mildly entertaining, but this movie is a whole different thing.
There are several movies that we've covered on this podcast that were mildly entertaining. Judgment Night, Critters, American Ninja, all fantastically entertaining. Absolutely deserve to be on this podcast. I agree with the same thing with Suicide Squad. And what it has is that it came out in the bloody summer.
Do you need a drink or...
I had several while watching this movie.
Okay. Well, anyway, as you may have guessed by now, we're talking about Michael Bay's epic summer blockbuster, Pearl Harbor.
Fuck yeah!
Actually, this is the one that lives up most to our one of our taglines for this whole series. This was an absolute summer lackluster.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Agreed.
In a movie called
let's do that right now.
No,
and
no.
we'll just be done with it, and we don't have to spend 3 hours talking about this movie.
I just wanted to say, as much as that sounded like a wrap up, in a movie that is called Pearl Harbor, the Pearl Harbor attack occurs conservatively halfway into the movie.
Yes, we spend like a good, I'm not gonna say good, but we spend an hour of the movie with oddly charismatic Les Ben Affleck in England.
Yep.
Fighting over the white cliffs of Dover.
Yeah.
Which is nowhere near Pearl Harbor.
No. We get a lot of non-Pearl Harbor content, I'm going to say right off the bat. Are you all right there?
This goddamn movie.
So, just before we get go, well, actually, no. Let's just dive right in, guys. This is a long movie. We are gonna glaze over some stuff because we do not have time to cover
just like
all
my eyes glazed over several times while I was watching this thing.
We keep talking about the length, and I just want to quote a favorite film critic of mine who had the encapsulating description of this film. Roger Ebert, in his review of this film, described it as a 2-hour movie crammed into 3 hours, and I think we all can agree that that is the case.
Yes, this movie could have been trimmed down considerably and made at least tolerable had it been cut down to about 2 hours, the average Bay entry.
Yeah, I would argue the first hour and a half could be 40 minutes.
I argue a good portion of the first hour and a half does not need to be there at all.
No, but I mean,
could be 10, 15
I'll give
minutes.
him a half an hour, 40 minutes of setup to the Pearl Harbor attack, and then the aftermath with where they go to Japan, and then that's it.
You know what? A lot of times people will say with movies that a love scene or a B story, love story seems tacked on. This is the first instance where the main story felt tacked on.
The war was tacked on.
So no, the love that love story or triangle between Affleck and Hartnett and the Nursey seemed like it did not need to exist.
Oh, it could have been a perfectly shitty movie on its own. They could have taken that and just turned it into like with the war as like a background setting and not even addressed the attacks. They could have just had a shitty romantic movie and been done with it, and then saved all the rest of the money for a good war movie. But no, they had to jam the fuckers together.
And there were several really good real stories in this movie that could have been told about real historical figures that were in this movie.
Well, Nathan, now let me just mention, because you mentioned the love triangle. I want to say Kate Beckinsale plays a nurse in this movie. Never have we seen a more inappropriate nurse since the days of Monkey Bone.
This is true.
That's immediately what came to mind. Monkey Bone.
Several nurses that are inappropriate.
Yeah,
but her for most, yes.
He was acting flirty with me, so I jammed him in the ass with a needle harder. Like, he literally says, "I think you hit the bone."
She's a sassy 40s nurse, though.
We have because of this movie has such a bloated cast and a runtime. We have several. What were they thinking? All-stars now.
Yes.
Michael Shannon is back.
Yeah.
He plays. At first, I thought this. I know they said his name was Goose, but I thought they said his name was Goose, and I was like, he's fucked.
Oh, he was not. I thought he was. I thought he was Goose.
Yeah,
they kept saying that.
It's like Goose or Goose or something like that. But as soon as I heard his name, I said, "Oh, he's gonna die then."
Because he's Goose in a movie about aviation.
Which, yeah.
Wait, though, does he die? I thought.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was on the raid. Okay, we'll get there.
A lot of people don't.
No, feel free to jump right to that, Jason. Just feel free to jump right to that as soon as we can.
No, we need to go through this beat by beat. We need to dissect this.
So Michael Shannon is back. William Fichtner, very briefly, is back.
And great performance. I enjoyed that very much. You don't know what I seen in them trenches. Like, great.
Yeah.
Josh Hartnett is back.
Yup.
In our hearts.
Specifically in another lead role, too. Like, he was the lead in our second episode, Hollywood Homicide, which you can only check out on YouTube, by the way. And good luck, because the audio quality is not good.
Absolutely dreadful.
And then Jen Garner is back.
Woo!
Yep.
And she is horrible in this movie. She's
the nerdy horny nurse. She has that's her thing. She got the curly hair, the glasses. She's the nerdy horny nurse.
But if you consider the fact of the role she played in the previous appearance on our show, she clearly has range.
Yes. This movie is just full of her reaction shots, basically.
Yes.
And, like, over the top, like, 9 Lives reaction shots to, like, Pearl Harbor, the movie.
Well, to be fair, she does have a very expressive visage, so...
And did you think it was interesting that
No, I
she's in
didn't.
This...
Oh.
Hold on a second! She's in this movie with Ben Affleck. I think this was not long before they got together, right?
This was actually, I think this was...
This
when
was-
did this come out? 2001?
This is post J-Lo, I think.
Is it? Oh, no, this is
No,
pre-J-Lo.
no, this is pre-J-Lo.
Okay.
Because Geely
'Cause-
was like 2003?
So was
Yeah,
Garner...
Giggly came out around 2003, 2004.
Was Garner just kind of like setting her tracks, or
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
They were getting into it on on the set. Michael Bay, there's so much cocaine around that everybody was just doing whatever.
Wait, let's go back for a second. In our Bad Boys 2 episode, you mentioned I don't know, Jason, if you heard this, but Nathan mentioned an audition that Henry Rollins did for Bad Boys 2, and
Yes.
basically he had to scare the shit out of Michael Bay to get the audition. So just think everyone in this movie.
No, it was the audition for Armageddon,
Right.
where he scared the shit out of Michael Bay, that got him the role in Bad Boys 2.
Nice.
So just think about everybody in this movie having to scare the shit out of Michael Bay.
Jennifer Gardner going in and breaking chairs and yelling at Michael Bay. You would be perfect for our nerdy reactionary nurse. I'm feeling la 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 la.
Kate Beckinsale just doing her underworld moves.
Yes.
Okay, so in the first like 5-10 minutes of this movie, but we should like go real briefly over what the story is here, because Ben Affleck and Josh Hartnett start out in the movie as children, and it takes us not even a minute into this movie where we hear someone say "Land of the free, home of the brave."
Oh yes, this movie.
And basically they're playing around in a plane, like someone
Like you do, as a child.
as a child.
Yes, yeah.
We learn
When
that
your dad's a crop duster, I guess. Anyways,
that's right. We learn that Ben Affleck is not, his character is not very smart. He's slightly illiterate, and Josh Hart. This is okay. I want to start with this right off the bat because the dynamic between the two changes throughout the movie all the time. Because Josh Hartnett, we see him as being like a sort of like a protector, right?
yes.
But then that changes. Like, that changes a few times.
Yes, the George and Lenny dynamic definitely switches a few times in the movie.
And, like, for no discernible reason.
No.
Josh Hartnett also basically sends Ben Affleck to his death because... Well, anyway. William Fichtner shows up here. He's Hartnett's father, right?
Yeah.
And he has this thing where he beats his son.
Beats the shit out of his kid.
He beats the shit out of his kid, and then Affleck hits him in the head with a piece of wood and calls him a dirty German, and that makes him better.
That makes him stop, yeah.
It makes him think. It really gives him a moment of pause.
He had a-
Was I
he
like
had a-
them? I remember
had a
when the Germans slapped me. I shouldn't do that to my boy.
He had a dirty German change of heart.
Yeah, I fought the Germans. I hope no one sees what I have to see.
The thing though is I did make a note when they actually started up the plane and started trying to fly. I was like, oh, they're gonna get such a beating.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, even the best parents at that time beat their kids on a regular basis.
Yeah, it would not be a surprising thing to see a father slap his son like that.
Yeah.
I think at the time you were probably judged as a parent based on how well you did it.
It's like any
Right, if you didn't give your kid at least 1 or 2 fatal beatings a week, you were just failing as a parent.
1920s parenting in Tennessee was not ab fab.
Why do you think they had so many kids? Just in case they beat a couple of them to death. But, that's
Exactly.
what happens.
Yeah, it's playing the odds.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, we get the idea that Josh Hartnett is protecting him or whatever because Ben Affleck's character's not so bright. Then we see them later as they're they're basically Top Gun pilots. Let's just face it.
They're playing air chicken.
It's literally like the beginning of Top Gun, but instead of buzzing the tower, it's just chicken in front of the tower.
Because that's what you do with, hugely expensive warplanes.
Well, my theory is that Jerry Bruckheimer is one of the producers on this movie, right?
I think so.
I feel like he insisted on that because he also produced Top Gun.
Right.
And I don't know if no, it was Tony Scott that directed it, but...
Oh, that's why he's Goose.
Oh, shit!
Getting this thing solved right out of the gate.
This is Goose's dad. Goose from Top Gun, this is his dad. And he's a mechanic, but he's also an atomic pilot. It's great.
That's why he had to live.
Yeah, he hasn't had Goose yet.
This is all in the...
So his son could die.
This is all part of the Bruckiverse.
The Bruckiverse. It's the extended Bruckiverse shared universe.
I'm more accepting of the Bruckiverse than I am the Baniverse.
Oh. So Ben Affleck, we quickly learn his southern accent is going to be a little here today, gone tomorrow.
And very like of the era kind of film southern accent. It seems to me it sounds like a northern actor in the 40s doing a southern accent. I don't know if that's what he was going for.
Sir, I say sir.
Like it disappears at a moment's notice too. It's all over the place. Josh Hartnett probably maybe worse.
Yeah, in general, but yes, also in the movie.
Guys, is there any good Josh Hartnett performances in the world?
Sin City.
Okay.
Sin City.
Wait, hold on a sec. Just one question. I'm thinking about this now. Was there any okay? So these two guys don't have southern accents in real life,
right?
That's fine. Sometimes you do it. Did the fact that they were southern figure into the plot one iota at all?
No.
So why did they have them do why was that the choice made that they would both do terrible southern accents when there was fucking no reason for it?
Well,
right. If you just need a couple of kids who are crop dusters, Nebraska.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is the thing, guys. They had to be true to the characters that they weren't based on. So
exactly. Fictional characters have a very strong history.
Yeah.
So at this point, Alec Baldwin is their
great,
commander.
by the way, fucking great. I love him as Doolittle. He is
Major
one of the
Doolittle.
highlights of this movie.
Imagine if he had a subplot where he was talking to animals.
That actually would be great. It would make this movie 10 times better.
It was nice to see Baldwin maybe ongoing booze.
I definitely expected him to call Ben Affleck Lemon a few times. But at this point, I'm like, every one of his lines is basically like, "You're a real piece of work, but goddamn it, do I respect you."
Yes.
Just the best,
Essentially.
rote kind of war movie type of talk. It's great. Again, it's like straight out of a movie from the 40s or 50s kind of shit.
Yeah. Oh man. So okay, and this is where, well, I mean, I'm gonna say this a lot because the movie is a piece of shit. But this is where the movie gets really. I think this part's really odd.
This is where the turn happens.
Yeah,
because it's present flashback, present flashback, present flashback.
Yes. What? Okay. The whole when you have a relationship movie and you do the meet cute or whatever between your two leads, at the beginning of the movie they're already together.
Yeah.
And she's just Kate Nursey, we'll call her, I guess. Is just telling the other nurses, in flashback, how her and Affleck hooked up. It's
right.
already been established. It's just such a weird way to tell that. I was like...
It seems to me like that sort of thing, they could have just... I mean, if they're going to go for it and make this friggin' movie 3 hours long, they should have just done that as, in a natural progression, as told in a linear fashion.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I just realized why they did that.
Why?
It's so they can have the line where when she's telling the nurses about the story, Jen Garner has to say, "That's the most romantic story I've ever heard." They have to tell us that.
They have to
What
drive
a payoff.
This is a story about how Ben Affleck comes into to get his checkup, before, shipping off or whatever. And Josh Hartnett, helps him read the eye chart, which, again, this is what I said about sending him to his death.
Yeah.
because he can't read it. And then she jams a needle in his ass because he made, a flirty comment. Mm-hmm. And he literally says, "You hit the bone," and then they're laughing about it, and she's like, "I had to do it. He was being forward."
Yes, she's
and then
being fresh.
That's apparently the most romantic story they've ever heard.
Right, that time where you nearly gave your boyfriend an overdose.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. He almost dies.
Yeah, and hits his head. Didn't he hit his head off the fucking table?
He hits his head, and then he champagne corks himself in the face.
If I hadn't... Okay, I don't remember.
I gotta say, that was one of my favorite parts.
Where he hit himself in the nose with his champagne cork?
Where he conked himself with the cork right in the nose. I was like, yes. It was actually, this is and I made this note, I noted it several times throughout the movie, but this was the first time I noted this. Did guys have frosted tips in the 40s?
I don't believe so.
There are several times throughout this movie you can see just the slightest hints of blonde at the ends of Affleck's and Hartnett's hair.
I think that could be an anachronism, Nathan. It
Okay.
very well could be.
We start talking
Spell
about
it.
historical inaccuracies in this movie. Oh boy.
Yeah.
ANACHRONISM.
Very good.
Thank you. This is what were they spelling? New episode. Yeah.
It's better than that other podcast, How Did This Get Spelled?
With Jane Diane Raphael.
Raphael.
Yeah. Oh, and then we got that thing. Oh, that. There's a line right out of a Bridget Jones movie here, because when she's doing the flashback when they're meeting up or whatever, she also has a line where she says, "He had a very cute butt."
Yeah. Again, maybe it'd be another one of those words that you spelled, but I don't feel that they used that term for the hinder.
He's got a sweet rump.
Oh no,
Right.
But
I don't feel like that would be something that would have been popularized at that time, but I could be wrong.
He had one hell of a tuchus.
Right. Well, if she was a Jewish nurse.
Yeah, see?
They should have just gone all out. They should have gone full Michael Bay.
W.C.
I can
Fields.
see his cock through his pants.
Yes, Kate Beckinsale should have done a W.C. Fields impression the whole movie.
Yeah, my little chickadee. Come here and I'll stab you in the ass with a needle.
Yeah, you're getting fresh with me. Fresh, I tell ya. Oh, man. So, okay.
This is what this movie did to us, folks. This is what this movie did to us.
Ewan Bremner from Trainspotting is in this movie. And
Yes, sick boy.
Yeah, he may have had the worst accent, as you were saying.
Brendan thought I was talking about the wrestler when I mentioned Sick Boy. We were talking about this.
I was like, Sick Boy is in this movie? Why didn't they just get the whole flock?
2001, right at the height of their popularity.
Hey, it would have been not shortly after.
It was shortly after it was sold, yeah.
Pearl Harbor starring Raven's Flock. They're playing the planes.
Yes. Speaking of the planes, I have a note here too that Michael Bay apparently painted the Japanese planes the wrong color.
Yes, early on in the war, the Japanese Zeros, as I understand, were mostly white. They were painted that forest green later in the war, but they would not have been green in 1941 during this particular attack.
Do you guys want to know why he did that? That he gave an actual reason.
Oh, why?
Because he's terrible?
Well, yes.
He wanted to make sure the audience, these are his words, he wanted to make sure the audience could differentiate between the good guys and the bad guys.
Because having white planes might assume that they're the good guys?
Yeah.
The big red circle on the side of it doesn't mean anything to these people?
Right.
Or, the Asian guy speaking Japanese flying it. Possibly. I will say, I have to give them kudos for this. This was not one of those movies where the foreign enemy spoke English but with a foreign accent.
Yes, I did appreciate that.
Question though, do you think Michael Bay used actual Japanese?
Well, no, actually, several of the people I saw were Hawaiian born.
Oh no, I don't mean Japanese people. I mean the language. Like, do you think he was just like just say some gibberish?
just say gibberish that sounds like you're lifting a house.
I'll just put subtitles underneath it.
Yeah.
I don't. You know what? It would certainly play along with one of his signature moves, which is casual racism.
That's right.
But he gets several of that later in the movie.
I know not what you speak of.
Yeah, we'll
So
it's
let's...
like Hulk Hogan wrote the dialogue at the height of his feud with Yokozuna.
Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, wrestling fans, watch WrestleMania 9. Watch Hulk Hogan's
Please
promo.
Don't watch WrestleMania.
Or just
9.
watch
Please
that
save
clip.
Yourself.
Just watch.
Watch the clip.
Just watch that promo. It's. I wrote a note here that apparently it took Ben Affleck 6 hours to make an origami bird. He says that at one point.
Why did he have to do it? Don't they have? Can't they? It was like a $100 million movie. Couldn't they hire? Couldn't they get Edward James Olmos to do it?
No.
Jesus.
I don't mean he actually did it.
Oh.
in the movie, the character says it took me 6 hours to make.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Okay.
Like wasn't making.
I was actually gonna make an observation on method actors and how they're just poor at acting, but
Hey, Ben, we have an origami bird in this scene. Can you make it? Yeah, it's gonna take me about 6 hours, Mike.
Yeah. Go back to your trailer.
well, we got a guy. No.
The character demands I do this myself.
Ben, are you sure
Yeah.
it's not an issue? I have to do it, Michael. So this romantic thing, it's not a love triangle yet. It's basically just Ben Affleck and Nursey. They have their big party. Basically, he tells her this is the part. Okay, he kind of like fucks with her psychologically because he says, "I'm going away. I'm joining the British." Which, by the way, I looked this up. This would not happen. If you were enlisted, in like with the Americans, I have it written down here. You would actually not be able to go overseas and fly with the
would probably
the
need
Eagle
to-
Squadron.
Wouldn't you need to resign your commission as an officer and then go join the Royal Air Force? Maybe?
I think you would need to full on move
because it's a volunteer thing. Like it's like the French Foreign Legion. You would basically be joining their military because the United States was not officially involved, so they couldn't have any official American squadrons. Otherwise, they would then be drawn into the war.
Yeah,
which eventually they are. See later in the movie, but not yet.
I'm just kidding. This movie is 100% historically accurate.
Well, actually, that part didn't set that bad with me because I do know that there were Canadians who volunteered to go fight in Korea or Vietnam.
Yeah.
Even though we weren't involved in those skirmishes,
and they had to join up with the U.S. Army to do so.
Here's what it says. The inclusion of Affleck's character in the Eagle Squadron is another jarring aspect of this film, since active duty U.S. airmen were prohibited from joining the squadron, although some American civilians did join the RAF.
Oh, well, there you go. Then would be it right there. Jason would probably right. He would have had to have resigned from military service in the U.S. military.
So Eagle Squadron then was probably your ex-World War I pilots and like people that had been flying planes in the interwar period for civilian purposes maybe. But yeah, it would probably be difficult to get out of the U.S. Air Force on the verge of a war that they knew was probably going to happen at some point. So they weren't just going to let people go willy-nilly.
Major Doolittle, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Gonna go and I'm gonna fly for the British.
Just gonna go pop off. Just gonna go pop off and fly for another country.
And that's what we fight
I'm
for.
gonna tell you something. It's highly against regulations, and we'll throw you. We would normally throw you in the brig for it, and you'd be doing your country a disservice. But God damn it, I respect you.
I respect a man who'll fight for the monarch we rebelled against over 200 years ago.
There you go.
Now get out of my office, Lemon. So he fucks with Nursey psychologically because he says he's going off with the Eagle Squadron, and he says, "Don't see me off, like don't come see me." And then he's like, "It's gonna be too hard." So she goes and sees him, and he looks at some other guy, and he's like, "She loves me." Like that was his.
And the other
test.
guy's like, "What the fuck ever? Like, shut up."
That was his.
Let me read my paper.
That was his.
Knock it off! I'm playing Candy Crush.
Yeah, 1940. It wouldn't have surprised me. But that is his sick test to be like, don't come see me. I can't do it. And then she goes and sees him, and he's like, yeah, nailed it.
I feel that things like this, not just in this movie, but in movies and pop culture in general, actually lead to people doing these sorts of things in real life, and it just perpetuates a sickness. It's like, just say what you mean and mean what you say.
Don't show up to your girlfriend's house holding a fucking boombox over your head. You're going to get arrested for disturbing the peace and causing trouble.
Yeah. We're not all
And stalking.
However, if John Cusack does it in a movie, your girlfriend at the time, who was currently not your ex-girlfriend, be, that's so sweet.
Yes.
Oh, he loves her so much that he's doing that. But if you do it, guess what? She's calling the cops, and her dad's coming out to beat you up.
Guys, we need to talk about this right now.
Okay.
Jon Voight is President Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Yeah, I'd forgotten
Nigh unrecognizable.
Got the biggest chin prosthetic I think I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah. Quite the chin butt.
Yeah.
Rivaled only by Affleck's in this movie. He's the only other person who has a more prominent butt chin or chin butt.
It's funny because Voight is, as a person, is one of the more, I'd say, slightly conservative actors out there.
That's a generous way to describe it.
Staunchly Republican.
Yeah. Playing, like, one of the most well-known Democratic presidents in the history of...
Most hated by a lot of Republicans, even to this day, Democratic president.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and I also
His
learned
New Deal.
Yeah.
he took the role, but he said he begged for the part because he was a big FDR historian. He said he knows everything about FDR, which is funny because later in the film, FDR rises from his chair and does the speech, which also didn't happen.
But he did, I mean, FDR did stand and give speeches because he had those.
Yeah, but
walking
that
things.
moment, though,
Yeah.
that it completely... you'd think Jon Voight would be like, oh, wait a second, I know about FDR. This didn't happen.
Here's and the thing I did note that about him being the Republican playing one of the more liberal presidents. This was before actually was just before the U.S. went absolutely bonkers bananas, where it's like you're either Republican or Democrat and neither twain shall meet. There are, before that, at least in, general popular culture and people in general themselves being, what's the word I'm looking for? Reasonable. There were a lot of Democrats who respected widely known Republicans like Abraham Lincoln and Ronald Reagan. And there are also, Republicans who respected Democrats who got a lot of good things done, like FDR, JFK. We haven't always lived in a world where if the person is a Democrat, they must loathe every single Republican walking the earth.
Yeah.
Or at least how it's presented to us.
So this movie came out in May 2001, right?
There was this election where they didn't elect anybody.
Oh.
Right? Al Gore, George Bush, remember that whole thing?
Yeah, that was 2001 though. I'm trying to remember. Something weird happened that year, and I don't.
We are getting
later. And I was actually surprised that I was like, this came out before that? Because this really seems like a response piece.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. This movie, the way it's made, it's, and I know we're not going to get into the seasons thing, but it's got that summer blockbuster thing of like, there's a lot of humor in it, and I'm fine with humor in movies. I love good characters that like to have a laugh, but it's got that Michael Bay sheen to it that feels like it's really doing a disservice to the subject matter. I mean, I know this is a romance movie with a war tacked on, it seems, but
yes,
but it's got this weird like nostalgia, sepia-toned gloss to it. That almost feels like a propaganda film in some ways, and it's like this was a brutal fucking war that the United States fought with the Japanese over the Pacific. Like this was
just a brutal attack,
and a brutal surprise, a fucking cowardly, traitorous, awful attack on, and it's treated in this way, which just it feels so strange to me as a fan of history.
No, you're absolutely correct, Jason. This movie, there's a reason why when Matt and Trey Parker made Team America World Police, they put in that Ben Affleck song about how Michael Bay absolutely missed the point with this movie, and he absolutely did, because it almost feels like you said, the war, the attack and everything is tacked on. It's treated as an afterthought with the love triangle being like, this is what you should really be paying attention to. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to release a movie called Pearl Harbor and actually take a lot of the events that led up to it and treat them as a B story, you're doing absolutely a disservice to everybody who was involved in that attack.
And this movie also seems to, like, make a moral judgment on Americans. Like, it's almost like the movie is saying to some extent, like, hedonistic America, you know, you're out chasing tail and talking about how you're gonna, I got this thing you put in a girl's drink and she'll be out and you'll be fucking her by midnight. Like, I think the guy pretty much tries to do a date rape, or they try to talk about a date rape at one point. Or
no, it was the olive stuff that they put in the eyes to make them tear up.
Oh,
he wasn't putting anything in the drink.
Where my mind
he was.
went.
And then he's making Robert De Niro face.
It's like blind yourself to get laid.
Yeah.
But it's like all this petty bullshit is going on, and it's almost like you could watch this movie as like when the Japanese attack. It's like this is the price for American hedonism and being into this petty bullshit. We should be on guard against the evil enemy like the Japanese. They're coming for us, and this is our fault because these guys to me seem to like toughen up throughout the movie and get very stoic by the end of it. I mean, maybe.
Where meanwhile, at the first of the movie, they're trying to trick chicks into getting with them because I'm going off to war. Greatest generation.
Yeah.
Greatest generation.
But I do not doubt the historical accuracy of that, because if I was in their position and I was going off to war, you better believe I'd be doing anything I could to get my dick wet one last time.
Well, fair point.
So, so Ben Affleck goes to England. And,
Doubtful.
I probably not shot there. Tom Sizemore doesn't like lopsided titties, we find out. Because if you're going to draw titties on his plane, just don't make them lopsided.
By the way, it's a war movie, obligatory appearance by Tom Sizemore.
Yeah. And then we have this part that feels very like, almost like a summer camp scene, because Ben Affleck is writing a letter to Nursey, and like literally his letter is like, "It's cold here. It's not easy making friends. You're what keeps me warm. Ugh, it's not what I expected."
Postage is so exciting. I mean, but I get what they were going for, because I mean, it does harken back to like those older war movies, even like with the Civil War and World War I. My dearest Sarah, the nights are long and they are cold without you. Things like that, like where a guy's writing like a heartfelt letter to his girl while he's away on service and stuff like that. But usually that sort of thing is kept to a brief scene. Mm-hmm. This felt like it went on forever.
I think it was approximately 26 minutes long.
A lot of letters in this movie.
A lot of letters.
Because postage is exciting.
A lot of letters that Ben Affleck cannot put together into words.
That's right.
Right, for a guy who's like, dyslexic, he seems to have no problem writing lengthy, wordy prose.
Yeah.
My God, I didn't even realize that. No, wait, you know what they should have done after he's reading this letter? They should have cut to his letter and it's just a bunch of scribbles on a page.
just a bunch of stick figure drawings. Okay, but they don't actually say he's dyslexic. We all assume that, don't we? That he just seems to have some sort of learning disability.
I think he just had...
Well, they don't have a name for it, but he does say like sometimes the letters get mixed up and I can't see them right.
Which sounds to me, that sounds like
dyslexia.
It does sound like dyslexia. But I mean, you could argue that they don't say, so it could just be he's just fucked up in the head and he can write these great long glowing letters, but if he looks at a letter on a board on the wall, oh boy, he can't read it.
I still think that would have been great if they had that cut away.
Dear nurse, my bum hurt bad. You do bad, hurt me.
Oh man. At one point, one of the nurses says to Nursey, "Could you be any more boring?" And I'm like, "Are you talking about the movie or the character? Because I could go for both."
Chandler Bing's grandma showing up in the film.
My God, I have that exact note. Could you be any more boring?
This now,
you know what? Hey, actually, we get some. I do want to cover this real quick. We do get some historical figures that show up, and one of them is played by Canadian Colin Feore.
Fuck yes!
Where he talks about America being so great, and I'll have a note here. I think he probably threw up a little bit just saying that.
Doing his best American accent. I was so happy to see Colin Feore, because Colin Feore, even in the shittiest movie, when he shows up, I'm like, okay, We get a little
It classes
Kung Fu.
it up a little bit.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. This guy could do anything. Let's enjoy it. And in this one, he plays Admiral Husband E. Kimmel.
I honestly don't remember him in this movie.
He's the guy.
The naval officer.
He's the guy that's like, oh, we got to get ready and you know, like.
Yeah, he's the one who's constantly warning them that, you know, we should be watching out for this.
Is Comfior the hotshot asshole from Con Air, or is that someone else?
No, that's Colin Meaney.
Okay,
no.
I don't get
Colin Meaney. You mean Chief O'Brien?
Yes,
always
Chief
get,
O'Brien.
I always get their names.
No,
mixed up.
Colin Fiore is Bon Cop, Bad Cop.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Pierre
now.
Trudeau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so this now we get the introduction of a character who I would argue the movie should be based around is Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, and he's fighting Latimer from the program.
What
In the boxing match.
Jason, Jason, before we recorded here, was looking him up, and he was like, fella named Doris.
Named Doris.
Killed me.
I was looking at the cast list, but yeah, I guess he's a real guy, so that's really cool.
Yeah,
But
and-
yes,
Yeah.
why wasn't the movie based on his character and the struggles he had?
Again, Matt and Trey nailed it with the song.
Yeah.
He deserved a way bigger part in that
Yeah.
movie.
And he shows up 45 fucking minutes into the movie, like it's
And
like
disappears
apropos of nothing, and then disappears
about
and then-
another half hour later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I saw this. Now, please tell me if you guys remember this scene. And I only say because I didn't see it this time. But he talks about cooking the food and that and they take that beautiful marbled meat and you just boil it until it's gray. Did he say that in the movie, or is that a different movie?
I don't.
Because I swear for years I thought he talked about that in the movie, that somebody was asking about his cooking. And he's like, oh, I was this great cook, and then they make me boil this beautiful meat.
I know there are very few references to the racism he faced. Like,
Yeah.
like it should be way more prevalent.
In the director's cut,
Yes.
during the fight, as I understand,
Wait,
he calls him the
what-
N-word.
Wait, what?
The,
What?
The director's cut of Pearl Harbor.
They made this shit longer?
No,
It's
it's
about
about
a
2
minute.
minutes longer. So what they did in that
Okay.
movie is they cut out the scene later on where they're sitting around the fire, burning the letter. They cut that scene out and they replace it with a scene of them talking to Doolittle. The only other major difference in the movie is that all the violence, for the most part, is upped. So rather than just seeing people getting engulfed in flames, they get blown into multiple pieces. You see heads rolling around. But in the director's cut, during that fight, the Latimer guy from the program, he calls him the N-word. But that's it. That's like the one racist reference, even in the director's cut.
Well, and because there were so many points where they called him something that I was like, Michael Bay wants to say the N-word.
But he wants to keep a PG-13 rating.
Yeah. Michael Bay is like, guys, it was the thing at the time. I can get away with it. Just use it.
Hold on a second. Wait a second. So you felt that he was concerned they cut the one N-word in the movie to keep that PG rating, but they could say Jap like a million
Yeah,
times.
well, that's the thing, though, that in 2001, it was perfectly okay to be racist against Japanese people. We remember this time. But then 9/11 happened, and things changed.
9/11 changed our perspective on Japan.
That's right.
Guys.
Finally.
the life I
Finally
chose.
brought us closer together.
You know what? That makes more sense than most of this movie. They should have made it a love triangle with Cuba Gooding Jr. boning Nursey too.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, this is where the triangle really starts, because this is where they think Ben Affleck dies.
Ben Affleck is dead. He is dead, guys. He's out of the movie for sure. 100%.
By the way,
dead.
just gotta say, because there are
What
things,
were they thinking? Bye.
there are things I like in this movie, and I really enjoyed the scenes of Ben Affleck dogfighting with the German fighters and going after
They
the
were
Ju-88.
some cool. Yes, they were
very
some cool dogfight
well
scenes.
done and very tense and well shot. So kudos to Michael Bay for doing the one thing he's good at.
There's a very impactful line in this film, and it really gives you the scope of Michael Bay's anti-war stance. Because there's a moment with the Japanese general.
Admiral Yamamoto, if I'm correct.
Yeah, sure.
Played by
Toshiro Mifune. That's the only Japanese
Mako?
actor I can pull.
Mako's one of them.
it's Mako, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he did the voice of like Splinter in that
Oh!
CG Ninja Turtles movie.
Cool.
Yeah, and also another what were they thinking? Alum with the sensei from American Ninja is one of his right hand guys.
That's right. He's back. But he says
he was Hawaiian.
he's the one of the guys says to the admiral, he says, "You're brilliant for devising this plan," and he says, "A brilliant man would find a way not to fight a war."
Yeah, fair enough.
And is that Michael Bay just trying to, in a moment, to like, let's humanize the enemy a little bit. You know, they're not monsters. Let's just they don't want to fight this war either. They don't want to fight it at all, but they're gonna because they have to.
Oh, Michael, should we humanize them throughout the movie or just that
No,
scene?
no. Just this one scene. We'll put it in slow motion. And we'll have the flags in the background. I don't know why my Michael Bay sounds like Quentin Tarantino.
Because Michael Bay is constantly on cocaine as well.
Yes, there you go. There you go.
I wrote down The Great Dictator.
It's a good movie.
Because they go to see the far better movie
Yes.
in this movie.
Yes.
But here's the thing. This is another,
They go to see the movie that got the point.
This is another historical thing, though. I'm pretty sure that movie was banned for years and years and years
In
the States.
America?
In Germany.
No, I'm
it
pretty
banned
sure
the
in
States?
America too, for like at least a few years.
Why would The Great Dictator be banned in the
Because
States?
when it was released, there was a big uproar over like you're turning Hitler into a joke or something. I don't know. They didn't see it as we do now.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it got banned in Germany.
Definitely banned in Germany. Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously.
But I believe during the war it didn't show in the States until like several years.
Well, let's take a peek. You guys talk amongst yourself,
as far as
and I'm
I
gonna
can
find
see,
this
it
out.
says the film was well received in the United States at the time of its release and was popular with the American public. It was banned in some Latin American countries because, as we know, a number of SS and Nazis fled there after the
Well,
war.
Hawaii is clearly a Latin American country.
Yes, Hawaii is a Latin American country.
And I stand by that. No? Okay. So Ben Affleck is dead. He's dead. He's gone, guys. He's out of the movie. And Josh Hartnett, 3 months later, Josh Hartnett's already trying to bone Nursey.
Again, it's the war. I understand why they might take that up.
But
you gotta.
I'm
They're not even in the war yet, but they know it's coming.
I'm not on board for this.
You know, you wouldn't. You would be. Would you be mad if I fucked Mariah 3 months after you died? Would you be mad?
Well, I'd be dead.
Exactly. So shut up.
You'd be dead too, though, because she'd kill you with her gigantic penis.
Oh no.
That's true. That is accurate. But I don't know. What do you think, Nathan? Do you think he moves on her a little fast?
Um,
Because like it's not an accident. Because we later see him go to her house and say something, and then he's like, "Ah, damn you, idiot!" Like he's clearly trying to pick her up.
It's hard because I mean, it's not like they're broken up.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not like he's like they're it's a bros before hoes situation. He's dead. He's been killed in action. At least that's what they've been told. A lot of relationships I wouldn't be surprised are born out of situations like this because they're comforting each other over the shared loss of this person that they loved, and finding that their comfort with each other is comforting each other. So I don't feel that it's necessarily a douchey or a dick move, because he's not doing it out of any sort of lecherous intent. I think he's doing it because he misses his friend, she misses him, and they can kind of prop each other up, and it does make sense for them to grow their relationship further out of that shared suffering.
Prop each other up. Yeah.
Yeah, prop him up on his dick.
You guys are just the worst.
All right, I'll give that to you. I think it was a little quick, but I mean, they're so horny for each other. They fuck each other in a bunch of parachutes. So what do I know?
Yeah,
that was weird.
While there was a sign on the top that said a packed parachute may save a man's life to fight another day, they're fucking on these parachutes and gonna ruin them so that some poor soldier is gonna be dropped at Operation Market Garden and die when he hits the ground.
They should have done a cutaway there to
Oh,
all
how
these
specific
soldiers.
you were with the mission.
Yeah, they were packing parachutes in Hawaii for an operation 4 years later in Europe.
I still wish there was a cutaway there with all the soldiers jumping out of the planes.
Or even at the very least, jumping out of the plane. Why is my chute all sticky?
Why does my parachute smell like pussy?
Guys, at this point in the movie, we have 2 days. 2 days until the attack.
Oh, it's never gonna end.
Good lord.
But this is my favorite scene. The Japanese dentist.
Yeah, that was actually
Yes.
that was an interesting idea.
Well, I would say my favorite because I think it's pretty ridiculous too, though. Because he gets a call from like
Tokyo calling.
Tokyo, yeah, from Tokyo, and they're like asking him about how many.
They say they don't know you.
Yeah. How many ships are in the harbor? How many people are there?
Like that, this guy didn't clue in. Like, why would a random person call me to ask me the weather? Is that something that normally happened in the 40s? You just get a cold call being like, "Hey, what's the weather like down where you are?"
And also, I need a root canal.
Y'all can set that up. I don't know why my Japanese guy's suddenly Southern.
What is it? I'm from Tokyo.
I'm from friggin' Tokyo.
Man, I tell you, I had the best nigiri last night. It was delicious.
Sushi, sign me up.
Nothing I love more than getting fucked up on sake.
Wait. This uni was made in New York City. New York City!
Oh, man. Oh, how awesome would it have been, Nathan, if instead of going the rest of the way with this movie, they had Ben Affleck as like an Uncle Sam-like killer?
Ah! I would have enjoyed that way more.
I'm back.
Immensely. Just back killing folk who wronged him.
Did you miss me, girly? So, we could just go right ahead to Ben Affleck coming back from the dead.
Yeah.
Also, this, at first, I thought it was a dream sequence when I first saw it. Because all of a sudden, he just shows up. And literally, his fake death is just so they can do the whole, like, Josh Hartnett boning Nursey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry if I offend anyone here, but it's lazy writing. It's horrible writing. It's like, I don't know how to make this happen, so let's just fake kill one of them for a while and then bring him back.
It's one of those old tropes too that's been so done to death over the years that it's just like the person showing back up, and then you get to have the flashback of like, no, I didn't die when I crashed into the water. Some friendly Frenchman picked me up in a trawler and took me to free France, and I sat there for 6 months.
I think we actually kind of covered it, though, because if this had been a more traditional love triangle where they knew he was still alive, I don't feel that those characters would have been able to get over it as quickly as they did.
I think you're right.
Because he has to sit back and go, well, you know what? I guess I am being an asshole. They thought I was dead.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, and I get that. I get the character, like, they can't say that he's still alive, but it just still seems like a weak way to kind of create that triangle.
How did he, like, I guess I have to wonder about Ben Affleck's character, like how he never could consider the idea that this woman might move on in the time that he was gone. Like he didn't consider that they would assume that he was dead because he wasn't able to check in with, the military higher ups to say like, hey, no, I'm still alive, but
what we're saying is this movie's not good.
Yeah.
But don't forget though, like even if he had been checking in, it took them a month sometimes to get stuff from the mainland.
Yeah, that's true.
He did. He does also say that he was in Nazi-occupied France. I think.
Did he say he was in
Yeah.
Nazi-occupied France? Okay.
He did. I want to know how a white guy with a southern accent managed to avoid capture in Nazi-occupied France.
Because he's the best goddamn fighter in the world.
He kept his mouth shut and wore a beret and smoked a lot.
I respect him.
Oh, he's just one of the locals. Look at him.
Yeah.
Bonjour.
He's like when Brad Pitt does an Italian accent in Inglourious Bastards.
Exactly.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Oh, okay. I just have a rant here about Cuba Gooding. We already got to that, but yeah. There's a line also that says just before the shooting begins, somebody says. In December of 1941, mind you, there's a line where somebody says, I think World War II just started.
That was Josh Hartnett, and it was when he was in the plane, and it's like, it's delivered like one of those great action movie lines of like, I guess World War II just started. And then it's supposed to be like this cheer moment, but it just is, whoa, it's so bad. It's so bad.
I have a note when he says that. I was like, World War II started a few years ago.
Yeah.
Well, and at that point, he wouldn't, I don't think they were calling it World War II. I think he probably would have said, well, here we go with another great war.
Yeah. Yeah, they were, it's like, yeah. It's like saying like
Back to Europe.
All right, it's all right. Treating World War II like treating World War II like Caddyshack too.
Oh man, they're doing it. There should have been a gopher in this movie.
World War II.
Bill Murray just shows up as his character from Caddyshack. Well, of course the Japanese are coming to attack.
I got a few ideas with how to
So
deal with these
yeah,
guys.
I beat the Germans at the Battle of the Bulge, so I got that going for me.
So guys, it happens. Oh wait, before I do mention that, Dan Aykroyd is randomly in this movie.
Yeah.
What was that?
I assumed he was the same guy from The Arrow.
He's like a decoder, I guess.
Well, he's like
He's a cryptologist.
Cryptologist, yeah. Literally has 2 scenes and like that's it. Like there's no rhyme or reason.
Has Dan Aykroyd been in any other Michael Bay movies?
No, he's in a lot of historical movies. I find
That's true.
I feel he did have a purpose. It was to give that other general the business.
Yeah,
Like because he has
Admiral
that
Nimitz
line
himself. Yeah.
Yeah, or he's like, it's not my job to make the decision on my my poor information. It's your job.
he does kind of give him the business end. You're right.
Take that, Chester.
Chester.
Chester Nimitz. That's who he's talking
Okay,
to.
I thought you just came up with the name Chester. So guys, it's December 7th, 1941.
A date which will live in infamy.
In infamy.
Yep. Pearl Harbor begins, and I would argue the only good stretch of movie.
This attack sequence is really cool. It's Brendan and I had discussed previously that it probably is not historically accurate.
No.
And how the attack actually played out, but man, what a cool effect sequence that goes on for a really long time.
And we do get to find out that Billy's an idiot.
Billy?
It's a dud. It's a dud.
Oh, yeah.
It's a dud.
Oh yeah. is that the train spotting kid?
No.
No, that was he was in Gone in 60 Seconds.
Okay.
Giovanni Ribisi?
No.
Yeah, no.
Nicholas Cage.
Nicolas Cage?
Angelina
The
Jolie.
kid I'm gonna narrow it down for you, dickweeds. The kid who got shot in the suburbs. Boom, done.
Okay. So, the Pearl Harbor thing you mentioned, the historical accuracy. I have a note here about that I found out. So, Pearl Harbor, a lot of people said Pearl Harbor was an abuse of artistic license. That's just the movie in general. Now,
An abuse of celluloid.
one of the film it says one of the film scenes shows Japanese aircraft targeting medical staff at the base's hospital. It says although it was damaged in the attack, the Japanese did not deliberately target the U.S. Naval Hospital, and only a single member of its medical staff was killed because he was crossing the Navy Yard to report for duty. So there was not a full-on bombing of, their hospitals.
Interestingly, the Japanese, as I understand, in 1929 had signed on to the part of the Geneva Convention that dealt specifically with, like, hospitals and whatnot, so that would have probably been within their doctrine of not specifically attack, at least early on.
Yeah.
Who knows later on how things may have changed when the war got more desperate, but they maybe weren't specifically targeting hospitals.
I think it's just Michael Bay trying to demonize the other side to make us root for the Americans more. That's all
so
it is.
let's humanize them at
Let's
the first
humanize-
movie
yeah.
so we can demonize them later.
And that's the thing, is that if you really dig into the war and the things the Japanese did over the war, there are plenty of things you could use to demonize them without making shit up. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Both sides
Yeah.
are not squeaky clean.
both
and,
many sides, many sides.
Many sides.
listen.
Lots of violence on many sides.
very fine people
Very
on
fine
both
people
sides.
on both sides.
Oh my god. We had to bring it back around to that fucking orange fruitcake.
Garfield?
It never goes away. Yes. He hates Mondays.
and learning.
So we get some brief glimpses in this part of the movie rather, where they actually did get some of the point, where war is absolute hell.
Yeah.
Because you've got, the guys who were coming in and were injured, like missing legs, and then fucking the guy with the jugular, he's essentially dead, but Nursey helps save him, but that was really only for her own ends, but we find out later in the movie.
Also, Jen Garner has a really good scene here because she's trying to distract this patient who's pretty much near death, and she's like, what does your plane look like?
Oh, you know who that was, too? That was Chip from Kate and Alley.
Wow.
There you go.
But yeah, like, why would you distract a fighter pilot who just got shot down by asking about stuff that would remind him of being shot down? Like, why don't you say, like, oh, where do you live? Oh, do you have any pets? Like, I don't know. Anything else.
Where'd you train at?
But no dear.
Anything.
F is for fatal. F is for fatal.
Oh, that's right. Now I will say that was kind of intense and like sort of well done, because like you see the F on people's faces and it's just like it's kind of grim and like the way that's done is
But that's straight triage right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Give him enough morphine to be comfortable.
So I mean, I don't like. There's not a lot about this tax scene that's that bad. I have that Tom Sizemore is shooting at planes with a shotgun.
With a shotgun, yeah. I mean,
it's a rifle, isn't it?
No, I'm pretty sure it's an actual
long
shotgun.
gun. Was it?
I swear at one point, because Brendan, independently, I thought the same thing of like, why is he shooting at a plane with a shotgun? Why is anybody shooting at any plane with small arms? I don't feel like that's going to do much. Maybe I'm not a soldier, but I don't feel like shooting your rifle at an airplane is going to really do much to it.
I'll tell you this: with a long gun or a rifle, you do have a terminal velocity of I think over a mile. So I mean, if they're coming in as close as they were portraying them as coming in with the planes, a well-timed shot could have taken out like a fuel line or a fuel tank on a plane. Now, you wouldn't have blown up a plane with one, but if you were lucky enough to get a crack shot off, you could certainly, damage the hydraulics or take out a fuel line on a plane if they were coming in close enough.
I guess growing up, whenever I've seen that in a movie, it always felt like it was just an expression of the rage of the soldiers of being like, they're fucking attacking us, shoot back!
Yeah. And it is funny, too, because, I mean, they are coming in with, like, twin 50 cal machine guns mounted to the planes, and they're shooting at them with like 308 Enfields and stuff like that.
Now, okay, so the attack occurs. Cuba Gooding Jr. has a few decent moments here. He mans one of the machine guns, I think. He
does one of the big.
He shoots down a couple planes.
Yeah, and screams as you do when you're firing that kind of gun.
Right. Also,
how else are you gonna notice he's in this movie?
That's right. Ah!
He's got to yell and scream while he shoots down guns in order for you to know that this historically real person is in this historically real attack in this historically wildly inaccurate movie.
Exactly.
I'm the guy that gives this movie some gravitas.
Why did they leave so much of me out?
Literally, like I know we mentioned it already, but like there's the institutional racism he faced. He wanted to be a soldier and he ended up being a cook. Mm-hmm. He ended up saving a bunch of lives and then died in World War II a hero. Like
this would have made it's a way more compelling story.
That's a movie. That's a fucking movie.
That's a movie.
And that's you don't even have to change anything.
No, you don't.
And like I'm sure his family,
and we all know Michael Bay is fantastically famous for being lazy with shit like that. He could have just been like, just translate this history text into dialogue, and boom, we got a movie.
And you know what? Having seen his latest movie, which I bring up a lot, the last Transformers movie.
We hope the last Transformers movie.
Well, his last Transformers movie, I think. But based on that, because in that movie they say that Transformers have done everything in history. I really wanted to see some Transformers come up and fuck up some Japanese at the end.
That
of the
would
movie.
be pretty fun. Oh, and wouldn't that be such a morale killer just for Japanese people to see massive robots attacking them?
I feel that Starscream would have fought for the Japanese, being a Decepticon.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean they probably would have gotten a few Decepticons.
Starscream was known for his code of honor.
So, okay, speaking of...
Do we have a blood transfusion with Coke bottles at one point?
Yes, we do. And, like, that is the biggest, like... That is...
Super sterile. Super sterile.
Well, also, though, like... I don't think you can have more positive of a product endorsement. Like, you held the blood of American heroes.
It is one of the things that kind of gets held up as being one of the more patriotic symbols of Americano. Right. Coca-Cola and apple pie.
It fits into that sepia tone nostalgia window that the movie is seen through. The Coke is primary in that.
And we mentioned Ben Affleck's fake death. When he comes back, she stays with Hartnett. She's pregnant.
Right.
And there's also the whole thing where Ben Affleck and Josh Hartnett are at each other's throats. And so we got that whole stuff. That's the A story, guys. That's why I'm mentioning the Pearl Harbor attack.
Yeah, because we've already blown
background.
past that to get to the good stuff.
Yeah, that's that. The Pearl Harbor.
This happened. That happened before the attack.
That's right. The Pearl Harbor attack is the B story. But I think by this point they kind of make up.
I feel we're focusing on the right part, though. I really do.
But yeah, our main characters make up, and then we're basically getting to the last stretch of the movie here, where
we do get at towards the end of the battle, we do get the slow stand up.
Yeah.
From Ben Affleck, that another Michael Bay signature thing.
It's the slow stand.
Dramatic.
Yeah. The slow stand up 360 thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're pals again.
Which one of them is Martin Lawrence? Yeah, so basically, I said Coca-Cola gets the best product endorsement ever. And then Pepsi comes up too later as well. But
yeah, and then this is where they were too late with the telegram, because the telegram came like after the attack was over.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, that would have been nice to get." I when I saw that, I just remembered the Adam Sandler line
From the wedding singer.
Yeah, that would have been once again something that could have been brought to my attention yesterday. Wedding Singer, much better movie.
Much better movie, and more to the point.
98 minutes, just cut straight to the point. I don't know if it's 98 minutes. It's probably around that.
It's got to be.
But okay, so then this is where we get to the whole thing where they're gonna do their retaliation attack, the Doolittle raid on Japan. I think at one point they say that they have Chinese soldiers helping them. Is that what they said?
Yes, because they teach them how to say "we're American" in Chinese.
Yeah, that Alec Baldwin. Just fucking tell them that the Chinese people are gonna help you. Why are you so glib? He's like, what happens when we land in China? Well, that's how you say I'm American in Chinese. And it's like, okay, so what does that mean, Alec Baldwin?
And that actually may be a bad idea, because the Japanese had been in China since 1937, so there was going to be a lot of them around there. And saying I'm American, I mean, even though it's clearly, obviously, you're American.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
Yeah,
the
you're
best.
tall and white.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. I mean, oh, look, it's a New Zealander.
G'day, mate.
Good day.
So before we speak too much about the Doolittle raid, does anybody else feel like, just the way the movie is structured, that this feels like it's so tacked on to the end of the movie to give them a win?
I have a legitimate note. This movie is still going.
Yeah, exactly. Like it feels,
because we just saw Pearl Harbor.
yes.
We don't need to see the response.
A movie called Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor should be the climax of the movie. Like, it should be like kind of the big set piece at the end. Now, I understand that's a down note to end on. But the movie's about fucking Pearl Harbor, at least ostensibly. So then we end with the Doolittle raid, which is a cool piece of history that I did not know about before I had originally watched this movie.
That they also fucked up. But it just seems so tacked on, and I mean, really exists only for the end of the movie, so that the ending can be what it is.
But I think that's exactly it. I think it was because it's a Michael Bay, Jerry Bruckheimer joint that they can't leave it on a down note. Okay, can you think of a single Michael Bay or Jerry Bruckheimer movie that ends on a down note without a happy ending?
I can.
No, because Goose dies halfway through.
That's right.
Right.
So the Doolittle raid, there's a lot of historical inaccuracies here, but just the bigger ones are apparently in the movie they're blowing up these giant buildings, and like you obviously see like many soldiers getting killed and stuff, right? The actual raid was they did bomb Tokyo,
yes,
but they also targeted 3 other industrial cities, and the damage inflicted was very minimal.
Very minimal.
Very minimal. There's a scene here too where there's personnel in China overcoming Japanese soldiers in a short gun battle. Never happened.
No.
And there's also no acknowledgement given in the movie, which is a remarkable thing that happened. Not remarkably good, but terrible
thing.
But that 250,000 Chinese civilians were massacred by the Japanese army in retaliation for them helping the Americans. None of that's covered.
Yeah.
Because it's a super down note. You don't want to end this movie on a down note.
Yeah, exactly. Because the whole, I mean, that's the thing is, like, all those planes successfully land.
Yeah.
Well, not successfully. They're all destroyed, except for the one that ends up going to Russia. But these guys all get on the ground. And surprisingly, in real life, only 3 people died in the course of the raid.
Yeah, because it was not like... It wasn't like a giant attack.
No. The whole point of the Doolittle raid was to scare the fuck out of the Japanese, to have American bombers over their capital city dropping bombs, and obviously it wasn't much because they had to strip the shit out of those planes to get them to go off the carrier anyways.
Yeah.
But it was just to say like, hey, assholes, we're here, we can do this. You fucked with the wrong country,
America.
Now let's get to the fictional character hijacking the steno pool with the officer she saved. And pulling a, hey, I saved you, bro, so you gotta get me in here.
This is a gross violation of military policy, but for you...
Well, I did put my hand on your jugular.
Yeah,
The
guy literally says, that's classified. Beat. Oh, how did you know about that mission?
Loose lips sink ships, asshole!
Literally. That is how that phrase was born out.
Also, if I'm Nursey, why would you want to be in the same room when that happens? Like, I think that would be worse.
Yeah.
Because you're watching them listen the whole time, and you're not hearing what they're saying, and you're just going to see facial expressions. Like, I think that would be more tense and awful.
For a mission that is pretty much guaranteed to be a suicide mission, even though I think most of them did eventually get out and...
Oh, yeah.
Although 8 of them were captured by the Japanese and tortured, and 4 executed.
Yeah.
I think what Michael Bay loved most about filming that whole portion of the movie was his blank check for racism.
Oh my. Yeah.
If you could create a drinking game where the word Jap is uttered, you'd be dead at this point in the movie.
Yeah, and think about how excited he was though to be historically.
Yeah.
I can use it.
I was actually kind of disappointed I didn't hear a wider variety of racial epithets, because I would have expected maybe a slope in there or a slant.
That would have been awful.
I'm 90% certain that there's an incorrect racial epitaph.
I noticed your note there.
I think at one point Josh Hartnett, when he's in the plane, I think he says gook.
Now, I believe it is possible that gook may have been a general Asian slur, because I've heard tell of it being used in Korea as well.
Like a catch-all?
Yeah, like a catch-all for Asians.
Look, when you need a racist comment that's going to just encapsulate not just one culture,
was he a
but
Chink
many
or was
cultures.
he a Jap? No, he was a gook of some sort.
Oh my, I'm not comfortable with any of this.
I thought it was just a Vietnamese slur. That's why I thought it was weird.
Yeah, we know it from Vietnamese movies.
Yeah,
mostly, yes.
I know it from Vietnam War movies. So it's like Josh Hartnett's going off
Vietnam,
script.
not Vietnamese movies. I don't think Vietnamese movies are using the word gook. Vietnam War movies.
I think you're probably right. It probably is a catch-all, because I believe is used to represent how the language, sounds to the untrained ear.
I'm just thinking of Vietnamese-made films using that word.
It's awful.
We can use it. You guys cannot. Fair.
It's like their version of Boys in the Hood. It's totally cool for them to say it. We can't say it.
Would it be called Boys in the Bush?
In the foxhole.
Boys in the open field burned by Agent Orange. Anyways, that's a different war.
Oh, jeez, let's not get into that whole thing.
Guys, we are gonna get political. Let's do it.
I think we've already gone in a very Trumpian direction with the last exchange that we just had.
Make America great again.
Make America grieve again.
I do have a note here. Michael Bay's, according to the DVD commentary, which I did not listen to, I just looked this up. Michael Bay's least favorite shot in the entire movie, he actually says, is I do remember it too. It's when they randomly cut to like outside of the fighting in Japan, and it's just like a couple of like women wearing their like kimonos and umbrellas.
Yeah, it was a weird little.
He said, "I have no idea why I shot that," and I said, "Apply that to everything."
Yes.
But yeah. So there's this whole fight here. Ben Affleck is basically Tropic Thundering at one point, like just like running around shooting with no cover whatsoever.
Yeah, they're fighting. You're fighting Japanese soldiers armed with full kits, and they've got pistols, and they're somehow holding their own.
Yeah. Nathan, I've got a question for you.
Please go ahead so we can wrap this up.
Josh Hartnett, guys. Spoiler alert. Josh Hartnett gets killed in this scene.
What?
Yeah, they do have a nice, tender little field moment.
Well, I have a question for you. Is this the first time a death scene where the person dying has been like, "I'm so cold," because that is a very. It's just like, okay, if not, why use that? Because that's so like. I feel like that's to the point now. It's funny.
Yeah,
it's not even.
It's like The Butler did it. It's the most overused like. If he'd just
cliched, tropey type thing to do.
The only thing worse they could have done is if he'd gone, Mama, Mama,
I'm coming home.
That's gonna cost us another $100 right there. Damn it.
I do have a note here that they have that tender moment, and Josh Hartnett dies, and it's supposed to be like this heartfelt. My friend who thought I was dead is now dead, and I was just too goddamn tired to care at this point.
Yeah, and
I'm like, this movie it's wrapping up. I was more excited for the movie actually ending that I did not care about poor Josh Hartnett dying.
I half expected the movie to go another 40 minutes and Josh Hartnett showing up again later.
He goes back. I didn't die.
I didn't die.
What do you mean you're raising my son?
You left me in Japan for dead, you son of a bitch.
That's payback for England.
Oh, man. Okay, so yeah, that was Pearl Harbor. Basically, Ben Affleck goes back home and
resumes the relationship as if nothing happened.
Gets his medals. Yeah. He's basically back with Kate Beckinsale, with Nursey, and they have a kid because that's her kid with Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett, because again, he's comforting her with their shared suffering and loss of someone who they loved and thought it was Ted. And he's propping her up, and they're propping each other up. Don't do it. Don't do it, you guys. Don't. Don't. No. No.
Okay.
Propped up on a dick.
Damn it!
That was all Jason. I'm not taking the heat for that. So, before we kind of like, by the way, guys,
wash our hands of this.
I gotta say, congratulations, everyone. We did it in an hour and 15.
Yay!
The whole movie.
Yay! You know what? Michael Bay, take a note.
So, I gotta say, I've got some notes here about some interesting things about the behind the scenes of the movie.
Fun facts,
okay. I guess. So one little thing. Japanese journalists were extremely offended by the fact that their army is shown having meetings outside, because apparently in Japan, meeting outside is considered to be uncivilized and barbaric.
Huh. Interesting. I mean, it was obviously an artistic choice, and it's a cool-looking artistic choice.
Yeah, but that's one of the things it was attacked for. And again, I mentioned the hospital thing. The other thing is, this movie earns a place in the Guinness Book of World Records for the movie with the most explosives used.
Really? Yeah, that would make sense.
But this is my favorite statistic.
Yeah.
The total amount of money spent on production and promotion roughly equaled the amount of damage caused in the actual attack.
Wow.
Wow.
That is insane. Well, like...
Maybe that was in the contract. It's like, we have to spend as much money on this movie as they spent to fix Pearl Harbor.
$140 million budget.
Wow.
It made $190 million in the U.S., which it's a lot, but like that's not like a giant hit.
No, but that's profitable.
Yeah.
I mean,
really? Because I'm looking at the wikis for it. It says $140 million was the budget. And it at box office was $449 million.
That's probably worldwide. I sorry, mine was just the American one.
Okay.
Yeah.
6 golden raspberries. This thing got,
and one.
This is nominated rather.
It's an Oscar-winning film, guys.
Sound editing.
Sound editing,
of course.
We could have done another Oscar-nominated and winning movie in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Sound editing,
because it. Costuming, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Sound editing. Everything just wins for sound editing.
Yes.
So I guess at this point we just I have a little we have a new little segment here. I guess it's easy just to wrap the whole thing up in about 17 syllables. I'm gonna hand it over to our guest here first, because he actually did write a haiku as well.
I did write a haiku for this, and
we call this our I don't have a name for it yet. Do you have a name for it yet? I don't know.
Haiku you.
Haiku you.
You picked a movie. You picked Pearl Harbor, a movie about an attack by the Japanese, to start the haiku bit.
Yeah. Oh,
seems
didn't even
right.
realize that.
All right.
Seems right.
Okay.
Technically, it was cut last week. Little behind the scenes thing there.
So this is my haiku for this movie, and I think it encapsulates it as a whole. Yellow Devil's sore. Guess World War II just started. God, my dick is hard.
That was actually written by Michael Bay.
Yes. We got together, we had an 8-ball, then we got another 8-ball, then we got another 8-ball, and that's what we came up with.
And then another 8-ball.
And then another 8-ball, yeah.
To celebrate because you got it.
We got it done.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have mine.
Okay.
Please, movie just end. Frosted tips in World War II. Time is never coming back.
Damn fine.
That really...
Basically saying, I can't believe the historical inaccuracies in this movie. God, I wish it was over. I'm never getting this time back.
That pretty much encapsulates your views on the movie.
Yeah.
All right, here's mine. Just because I love this word, I incorporated it. Anachronisms. Worst love triangle ever. Michael Bay, fuck you.
Ha! Yes!
There you go.
Direct and to the point. But as we always say on this show, we may have hated this movie.
But don't take our word for it.
Take our word for it. This movie, interestingly
Is
enough,
reviled.
has a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes.
But for some reason, 66% with the audience. So,
Yeah.
murk.
They like the zip bang. What can I say? As a war movie fan, I do love the attack sequences. I love the dogfighting sequences. There is a lot to like in this movie if you can ignore everything else.
Maybe those people just watched the 45-minute cut.
Yeah, exactly. The Chester Nimitz cut, we'll call it.
Joe Morgenstern of the Wall Street Journal says, Pearl Harbor is a blockheaded, hollow-hearted industrial enterprise.
That's yeah. But I like Anthony Lane from The New Yorker. I like his review a little bit better. The effect of watching a Michael Bay film is indistinguishable from having a large, pointy lump of rock drop in your head. His new picture, Pearl Harbor, maintains that mood.
David Germain of the Associated Press says, for all of the 118 actors listed, 118 listed, that's not even counting extras, the movie offers almost no sense of authentic humanity. The faces the filmmakers plaster on their characters are as flat and stereotyped as those on war recruitment posters.
Yeah.
And I think actually Nathan Rabin from the AV Club kind of surmised a lot of the stuff that we were talking about with his. And he says, leave it to Bay and Bruckheimer to reduce one of America's biggest military tragedies into a 3-hour avalanche of Kodak moments and one of America's defining crises into a facile exercise in fake uplift.
That cuts right to the bone.
That's biting.
That cuts
Biting,
right to the bone.
absolutely.
Guys, this
Yeah.
movie, to be fair, they do have positive
To be
reviews.
fair.
They do have positive reviews. This is from Andrew Saris from the New York Observer. The best way to see the movie is as I did. Expect nothing. And being pleasantly surprised.
Isn't that
And
good advice for all movies?
And strangely...
For any Michael Bay movie, at least.
And being pleasantly surprised and strangely moved by Mr. Bay's audacity in filming his lovers in end-of-the-world close-ups, however briefly. That's a positive review.
Your positive view is, you know what? Lower your expectations as low as you can possibly get them,
And
and then you might have a good time.
There's some good close-ups, guys. That's about it.
Really like the really tight camera work.
Yeah. This is a pretty great positive review from Total Film. Watch, enjoy, and then forget about it entirely.
Yep.
Again, good advice for any Michael Bay film,
Yep.
unless it's The Rock or Bad Boys 1.
And Bad Boys 2, right?
Fuck Bad Boys 2. Hate. Oh my god.
I have to say,
movie.
I like The Island. I'm sorry. I may be one of the only people. I thought The Island was cool.
I don't remember it very
I
much.
forget that was. I guess because you watched it and then forgot it right away.
Yeah, exactly. I took the advice of whatever that guy's name was.
It was actually no. I'll get on board with that. The Island was enjoyable.
It was derivative, but it was different for Michael Bay.
Do you have one positive review there to read us, Nathan?
I guess from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune.
Okay.
The centerpiece is the attack for 50 minutes. The filmmakers unleash nonstop eye candy.
That's it.
That's the positive review.
That's basically my review.
all the positive reviews are like, it sucks, but go see it.
You'll like parts of it. Again, the reviews that are positive are saying, watch it for, I guess, the spots that you're supposed to watch it for, and then ignore it for the rest. Because really, the spots you're supposed to watch it for are the attack on Pearl Harbor.
John Johnson of the Toronto Star says the theater had air conditioning. 5 stars.
I was able to beat the spring heat because this movie was released in spring.
This is a weird one. This is the last one I'll read because this is a positive review, and it's a 3.5 out of 5. And it says this is the snippet they took from this review. It's just a bit unfortunate that such an incredible, noble story, one which turned a nation around and galvanized a generation into action, should be told by such weak storytellers.
So his 3.5 stars was for the actual attack itself, just the fact that it happened.
I think all the positive reviews, they just watched the 45-minute attack scene.
Yeah.
I probably.
And maybe Cuba Gooding Jr.
I have one last negative one. It's from Popular Science.
Is it?
Shit, I thought this was a summer movie. Why am I watching it in spring?
All right. That is not on Rotten Tomatoes.
I would like to recommend to listeners, personally, if you want to watch a movie about Pearl Harbor.
Tora?
Exactly. It's a bit drier.
Absolutely.
But it's got Toshiro Mifune in it, and it is directed by American and Japanese directors. Was it Kurosawa that did the Japanese end of that?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't remember. But Toshiro Mifune is in it, and it is a really cool movie. So watch Tora.
There's so many good movies that you could watch that are with the war setting that were not this movie.
Absolutely.
I mean, Enemy at the Gates, Flags of Our Fathers, Saving Private Ryan.
Pearl Harbor.
No, not Pearl Harbor. Shut up.
If you could strike him, that'd be fantastic.
Wow. Ouch! That was real.
You deserved every bit of that.
So, I mean, let's if you want to give us a little hint for the next 2 weeks.
Yes, actually, I have a guest of mine who's going to give the hint. If you just give me 1 second, I'll bring him in.
Okay.
Hello, it's your good friend Montrose here. Just before I give this hint for the next film for this podcast, do check out my my YouTube channel, Montrose Monkington TV, and do feel free to join in and following my Facebook group, Montrose Monkington Esquire and Friends. Now for your tip, for your hint for your next film, demons in a piano? That's ridiculous. Thanks, Montrose. Get out of here, you smelly rapscallion. He hates me. I don't know why.
Wow. Wait. So did he record that perfectly too?
No, he was right there with. That's why I said bye to him, and he called me a smelly rapscallion.
That's why I was confused. I thought he recorded and knew that you were going to say something. Like I thought.
No.
That's really
No
impressive.
respect. No respect.
So, yeah.
No, Jason.
Demons in a piano.
Demons in a
That's
piano.
Your hint.
I'm scared and aroused. Yeah, Jason, if you don't know, Montrose Monkington and Nathan do not get along.
No.
It's
I could hear the tension a bit, but I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, it's.
You just calling me a smelly rapscallion, that's actually light for him.
Oh yeah, he's unloaded some bombs on this show.
That's monkeys for you.
So,
well,
you're looking quick. Well, before you do, actually, I want to thank Jason for coming by.
Thank you for having me. I always enjoy being here with you guys.
Thank you for, suffering through with us. Misery does love company.
I'm always happy to join.
But I noticed, Nathan, you seem a bit inquisitive, so I'll let you go ahead and ask a couple questions if you want.
Brendan, we watched a movie where, the historical figures with rich stories themselves to be told were put to the side. And with a movie like that, where they've absolutely missed the point of the actual movie that they're supposed to be making, the subject matter, and actually doing a total disservice to the men and women who were present at that attack, I just really need to know, what were they thinking?